The objective is to solve a quadratic equation by completing the square. So here is the first problem. It is x squared plus 4x minus 45 equals 0. To solve this by completing the square, the first step is to move the minus 45 over to the right and make it positive 45. From there, you need half of this 4. Divide the 4 by 2 and square the result. Half of 4 is 2. Square the 2 and come up with 4. Add it to the left. What you add to the left, you add to the right. Half of 4 is 2. Square the 2 to get 4. Add it here and then add it to the right side as well. Keep the left side the same until you simplify the right. 45 plus 4 is going to be 49. Next, you have to convert this into a square form. It's called completing the square because you're making a perfect square here on this side. To write that as a perfect square, you need x, the sign from the middle, which is plus, and then half of that middle term. Half of 4 is 2, and then square that quantity. The 49 on the right will stay the same. If you go over here to the scratch paper and write x plus 2 quantity squared, remember that it can be written as x plus 2, x plus 2, and when you multiply that out, it's x times x, x times 2, 2 times x, 2 times 2. Simplify the middle terms, and you come up with, that should be a squared, x squared plus 4x plus 4. This is a perfect square. There is the square form of that. So that's why this is called completing the square. Since you have perfect square on the left, you need to find the square root of that. And what you do to the left, you do to the right. The square root of the quantity squared of x plus 2 is simply x plus 2. You have 2 of these if you're squaring it. If you find the square root, you just have 1, x plus 2. The square root of 49 is plus or minus 7. From this point, you have 2 problems to solve. X plus 2 equals 7. X plus 2 equals negative 7. So x would equal 7 minus 2, which is going to be 5. And on the right, x equals a negative 7 minus 2. X equals a negative 9. Final answer would be negative 9 or 5. The next problem is x squared plus 10x minus 24 equals 0. The first step is to leave the x squared plus 10x on the left and move the minus 24 to the right and make it positive 24. What is half of 10? 5. What is 5 squared? 25. So x squared plus 10x plus 25 equals 24 plus 25. What you add to the left, you have to add to the right. We have just created a perfect square. When you find half of the middle term, square it and put it here. You have created a perfect square. That perfect square can be written like this, with an x, the sign from the middle, and half of the middle term. Half of 10 is 5. On the right hand side we have 24 plus 25, which is 49. You have a perfect square here The square symbol says so. So you need to find the square root of that, and what you do to one side you do to the other. The square root of the quantity squared of x plus 5 is simply x plus 5. On the right side, the square root of 49 is plus or minus 7. At that point, you have two problems to do. X plus 5 equals 7. X plus 5 equals negative 7. On the left, 7 minus 5 is going to get you an answer of 2. And on the right, negative 7 minus 5 will give you an answer of negative 12. So you write the answers as negative 12 or 2.
This is starting to make it worse.
You have to tell me what to do on this problem, and it is x squared minus 6x minus 40 equals 0. What is the first thing I have to do with this problem? Holiday is not here, so we'll go to McName. What is the first thing I have to do? That's right. We will move the minus 40 to the right side and change it to positive 40. What is the next step that I have to do for this problem? Ruark. Yeah, we need to find half of the 6. And what is half of that 6? Sprague. Yeah, it'll be negative 3. But if you square negative 3, which is what we must do next, what is the square of negative 3, Salyers? What is the square of negative 3? No, I need the square of negative 3, Johnson. 9 is right. So I put plus 9 there. What do I put on the right-hand side? Hughes isn't here, is he? No, he's out. Darnell, what do I put on the right-hand side?
You have that 40 over there, and you do 40 plus 9.
40 plus 9 is right. Okay, what is my next step? We'll start over. What is my next step, Darnell?
You get the square root of negative 6x.
No square root. Not yet.
Oh.
What is the next thing I do, McDane?
40 plus 9.
Yeah, we can do 40 plus 9. And 40 plus 9 is going to give me 49. Now, what is the next thing that I do, Johnson? Yeah, the quantity squared of x minus 3. We use an x, the sign from the middle, half of this term. On the right-hand side, what do I write, Sprague? 49 is right. Okay, so we'll move down a few lines here. What is the next thing that I do, Salyers?
Square x minus 3 squared and 49.
We do not square them. What is the next thing that we do to both sides, Ruark? Yes, we find the square root of the left side and of the right side. What is the square root of the left-hand side? Johnson. X minus 3 is right. What is the square root of 49, Sprague? It is not 7. What's the square root of 49, Darnell?
It's 7.
It's not 7. What is the square root of 49, Salyers?
Plus or minus 7.
Plus or minus 7, yes. Now, what is the next thing that I have to do to solve this equation? And it goes to McDane. not x plus 3. It's not x plus. X minus. X minus what? Yes, equals. And then what? Yes, equals -7. That's right. Okay, on the left-hand side, what does x equal from that equation on the left, Ruark? We would have x equals 7 plus 3. So 7 plus 3 would be 10. What does the equation on the right-hand side equal, Sprague? -4. We would have x equals -7 plus 3. That would be a -4. That is right. How do I write the final solution? That goes to Ruark. -4 or 10 is right. This next example is x squared minus 5x minus 14 equals 0. Your first step, in fact all the steps are still the same, but you have x squared minus 5x, and move the minus 14 to the right, make it positive 14. Now I need half of 5. Half of 5, what number do I divide 5 by to find half? 2, so I could have 5 over 2. 5 over 2 is going to be half of 5. Here's 5, we've divided it by 2. What do we do once we have divided the middle term by 2? No. What did we do on the other equations when we cut the middle term in half? What was the next thing we did to it?
Add it.
We didn't square root it. We squared it.
Double it.
When you square a fraction, you square the top and you square the bottom. 5 squared over 2 squared is 25 over 4. So that is what we must add to both sides. So 25 over 4, and on the right hand side 25 over 4. Now we keep the left hand side the same. On the right hand side we have to simplify that. 14 plus 25 over 4. 14 plus 25 over 4. What is the denominator of the 14? 1. What is the common denominator I need to add these two fractions together? You need a 4. Do I have to change the right-hand fraction? What did I multiply this 1 by to get 4? 4. So I multiply 14 by 4 to get what? 56. 56 plus 25 is what? 81. What number do I put on the bottom? 4. So there it is, 81 over 4, and that goes here. So now I have to create the perfect square, the quantity squared of something. So here it is, and I need x, the sign from the middle, minus, and what was my expression that represented half of the middle term?
25 over 4.
No. How did we find half of the middle term? 5 over 2. On the right hand side we still have 81 over 4. I have to find the square root of both sides. On the left hand side the square root is simply x minus 5 over 2. To find the square root of a fraction, you find the square root of the numerator and the square root of the denominator. What is the square root of 81? 9, and the square root of 4? 2. So I now have two problems I need to do. X minus 5 over 2 equals, and that's plus or minus 9 over 2. X minus 5 over 2 equals 9 over 2, and x minus 5 over 2 equals a negative 9 over 2. On the left, to solve that, I need 9 over 2 plus 5 over 2. What is 9 over 2 plus 5 over 2? 9 plus 5 would be 14, and you put it over 2. 14 over 2 is 7. On the right-hand side, I need negative 9 over 2 plus 5 over 2. Negative 9 plus 5 is a negative 4. Negative 4 over 2 is a negative 2. So my solution is negative 2 or 7.